Good morning everyone. Welcome back to another video, and today I'm here with Blue Antinor. Hi Blue!
Hello!
So, what are we doing today, Blue?
Today, we're giving a tutorial on how to use Adobe Animate's timelines.
That's right. So in today's video, we'll be teaching you the following. First, we'll give the importance of the timeline in Adobe Animate. Next, the key components of the timeline, aka the tutorial itself. And finally, some tips for efficiency. So, what is the importance of the timeline in Adobe Animate, Blue?
Well, it's crucial for creating animations. For one, the timeline is where you have control over sequence, timing, and flow. It organizes content into layers, automates motion, and streamlined editing, which is essential for smooth, professional animation.
Well said, Blue. And for an overview, Adobe Animate uses frames to divide time into segments, like films. Frames control the movement and time, and the total number of frames and playback speed decides the film's length. That's why it's crucial to understand frames for animation.
Oh, and did you know? The timeline structure in Adobe Animate traces back to Macromedia Flash, the software's original name before Adobe acquired it in 2005. The timeline's basic structure has remained largely unchanged, proving how intuitive and effective this design has been for animators over decades.
Wow, that's an interesting history fact about Adobe. Thank you, Blue. Anyway, let's begin our tutorial by opening Adobe Animate, which should lead you to the workspace. And if you look down, you'll immediately see the timeline, which is this long panel over here.
That's right, RJ. And these are the main four components we need to remember. The layer. Each layer can hold different elements of your animation, such as characters, backgrounds, or effects. Then, the playhead. It's this red vertical line in the timeline that indicates the current frame being displayed on the stage. Next, the frames. You place frames in the timeline in the order you want the object in the frame to appear in your finished content. And finally, the timeline header. This displays the number of frames. And now, if you look closely into the timeline, you'll notice these little circles in the boxes. This is where you will find your frames and keyframes. The empty circles over here means there is an empty frame, aka no drawings. But a full circle like this means there are drawings. And if you look to the side, you'll see an outline of a rectangle, which is a freeze frame, meaning that the previous frame will last until the next frame.
And just below the timeline, you'll find the timeline controls. The first button is the layer view. You can toggle from the default multi-layer view to a current layer view by clicking this. The second button looks like a camera, and it is. Clicking this lets you crop a portion of the stage you want to be seen. Next, we have a layer parenting view. This displays the parenting hierarchy of layers. This is the layer depth. It creates a layer depth panel and allows you to modify the depth of the active layer provided in the list. This one is every animator's best friend, the onion skinning. This provides reference by displaying contents of the previous and the following frames on the stage. And lastly, the playback. This previews your animation in a loop.
Next, we have the spans. Span-based frame selection allows you to select a range of frames between two keyframes with a single click. The frame span is a sequence of regular frames in the timeline with no animations applied, basically static. The classic tween span interpolates movement, transformations, or other changes between two keyframes. The shape tween span is where a shape morphs or transforms into another shape over time. And finally, the motion tween span animates symbols, such as object or text along a path or with property changes. To create these spans, all you have to do is right-click on an empty frame. These options should come out. And as you can see, you can also revert the span back to a frame by frame. If you look below, you should also notice the options to insert or remove frames, as well as keyframes, or convert them into one. You can label frames in the timeline as a way of organizing the contents, which can be found in the properties.
So, if you right-click on the timeline, these are the options presented to you. And under the timeline option, that is where you can choose options to edit the frame you either want to remove, cut, copy or paste another frame in. You can even clear the frame or select it to be moved. But if you want to manage the speed of the animation, Then you need to look at the properties section. Here, beside FPS, all you need to do is double click the numbers and change it to your desired speed rate.
And as a little extra, you can customize your timeline workspace to your preference. You can zoom in on the timeline header so you can read the number of frames better, or simply switch the location of some of the parts in the timeline.
And here are the long-awaited tips to make your work as an animator faster. If you want to know more shortcuts, simply go to the Adobe Help Center, where they have the entire list of their keyboard shortcuts. Link is in the description below, as well as all the other sites used for this video. Credits to them. A special thanks to my team also for helping me in this video.
Thank you for having me here, RJ.
No problem, Blue. That's it for this video. Hope you guys learned something from us. Don't forget to drop a like, comment, and subscribe!